If I was your CRNA preceptor, I would ask you, if etomidate is such a stable drug, why don't we just use it for every induction? And the answer is, even after a single induction dose of etomidate, it can cause 6 to 24 hours of adrenal suppression. And by adrenal suppression, I mean that it inhibits an enzyme that leads to cortisol and aldosterone synthesis. Why does this matter? Well, reduced cortisol and aldosterone can inhibit the body's ability to mount a proper stress response to surgery and critical illness. Can also lead to increased vasopressor requirements up in the ICU. It also inhibits the body's ability to regulate volume status and electrolyte balance. Not to mention, on a side note, etomidate has a 30 to 40% incidence of PONV, I've read. So ask yourself, do you want your patient to have these potential side effects? It is important to note that studies on mortality, at least that I have seen, are inconclusive. The takeaway here is you don't just want to give etomidate just liberally because it has ramifications. So if you can, you should avoid etomidate in septic or critically ill patients that are relying on that stress response to heal. That being said, if the benefit of the stability of it is greater than the risk, then you can go ahead and use it. However, the ideal patient for etomidate would be a patient that has coronary disease where you don't want to use ketamine. They have severe heart failure where you're afraid to use propofol, but also a patient that is not septic and not critically ill where you're relying on the stress response. So if you can find that type of patient, etomidate is great. Otherwise, you can consider ketamine or propofol, but supplementing it with pressors. I just encourage anybody watching this, any student, if you're any induction you're doing on a sick or critically ill patient, really try to critically think through what the appropriate agents and doses are before you just reach for etomidate. Hope this helps. If you have anything to add, please drop it in the comments.